Yes, indeed, we're back. We're back. What the guy say? Mortimer, we're back.
I ain't heard that one, but yeah, what
Huh?
he said, innit? I ain't heard that one, but what he said.
That's from Coming to America, but it was sort of like
Oh, right.
it's like a little connect, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really came from Trading Places. That was where it originated from.
Ah,
Yeah, but obviously it's Eddie Murphy's because it's tethering to Eddie Murphy. I suppose they allowed it, to
mm-hmm.
just kind of just throw it in there.
Yeah, man. He can do whatever he wants.
But yeah, yeah. So they lost their fortune in Trading Places, and they
Ah,
ended up homeless in what do you call it? What I just mentioned it. What was the name again?
coming to America.
Um, Coming to America. Yeah. So they ended up homeless in Coming to America,
Yeah.
and they said they found some money in it, and I don't know. They must have made a little change, and they were on the road and hitting each other like, "Yeah, Mortimer, what?"
That's me after a couple wins, man.
Yeah, man. The classics, as they say. So
How are you, bro?
that's why I say that sometimes. I'm good, man. I've had a positive, positive week, positive weekend. Has been a positive one. So and man, had some good news as well. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah, man. Ticking away, and can't complain. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Can't complain, mate. But I got a few things for you. you know.
When you're ready, please.
But let me start with a piece,
Yeah.
and then we'll move on to. I got two things to share with you, two quotes.
Mm.
Let me just find it. All right, here's the quote. It might a little bit, my this one possibly a little bit different, perhaps a little bit abstract, but here it goes. The world is afraid. The spark that lives, yes, I can see it in the eye, but I had to put it there. Dirty hands, I spend my days working in the clay. I callous like hardship, rusty gold. The hands, it took me time to understand life after death. No longer beckoning like 6 feet deep, living in the dirty like nails, warped as the mind made faculties, calling like follow my trail. Yeah,
Mm.
that was the quote for the piece. And then if you need more context, but I just cut it right
Yeah.
because I just want to focus on this. I'm about to read it. There cannot be great difficulty where there is great willingness. And that was a quote from Machiavelli,
Mm.
The Prince. I remember we a couple weeks ago we had a discussion,
As you
and
do.
I gave you a quote from Machiavelli. But recently I've been actually digging deeper, and actually I bought the book, so I've been reading the book.
See.
So that's where I got the quote from.
Mm.
If you want more, I can give you a little bit more. Not that just in case maybe it might make a difference, but he's alluding to something to do with obviously princes, etc. But
Yeah.
this is more to the quote. It says, "Here is a just cause for that war is just which is necessary, and those arms are merciful where no hope exists, save in them. Here is the greatest willingness, nor can there be great difficulty where there is great willingness." I guess I could give a little bit more, but he's
No,
gonna
bro.
allude.
It's, you know what? I think the context comes from the first piece.
Yeah.
That bar, hands dirty from sculpting with the clay. It's like, yeah. The more you understand the significance of what you're able to do with that,
Yeah.
that shows you the power that lies in being able to create your own reality, and thus with the more
Correct.
complicated designs, the more difficulty there is in having to explore how to accomplish what you want to. So it
Correct.
ties in very well, and it's just back to that theme of the wanderer, the nomad, picking up all these gems along the way,
Yeah.
and thus making his journey somewhat serene, but knows how to handle the turbulence of life.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You're on
Thank you for
point
sharing
tonight.
as always.
So you
Yeah, man.
and to put a bow tie on it, the title is "What My Father Never Told Me," which was the name of the piece. The quote
Okay.
the quote I just read from the piece is called "What My Father Never Told Me." So that's I thought it would be intriguing to somewhat explore this.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yeah. So, to start with the quote, the second quote, which was from the book, there's so many things as a child or as a boy, so many questions, and hence the title. And you're curious, of course, and you want answers. But at the end of the day, there's nobody to give you these answers that you seek. And I suppose, I think that's a journey in itself, which is, of course, this is life. But at the end of the day, this is your life now, at least at the beginning. And so perhaps that's where this rabbit hole starts. And you know how we speak about rabbit holes all the time. And, you begin to explore and you don't know where you're going to end up, but you're having experiences, you're exploring, which is the essence of what we do as, if not human beings, artists by itself, like we're doing now. And I find that intriguing, just thinking back, at least in hindsight, where we are right now, and just speaking about all of this. It's interesting to me, just to break down or just maybe just to kind of like open certain doors that perhaps you weren't necessarily privy to sort of explore when you were younger because you lack knowledge of self or how to somewhat to bring it together so you can kind of like puzzle, create a picture. So now we have the ability to explore. And I suppose one of the biggest things I find myself being grateful for is the tool to somewhat, explore some of these situations that we find ourselves in pertaining to life and um, trying to find or seek knowledge of self or just understand life so you can approach it the best possible way for you or the people around you, or just to carry yourself right so you can be the best version of yourself. And I think this somewhat encapsulates the idea of what my father never told me. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make it any less relevant. And so I have to now, and this is the interesting part. Now, the legacy that I was never given it's the legacy that I have left. It's the only legacy I have. That which I was never given. That's my legacy. And what I'm saying is that which my father never told me. That's my legacy. Which is I don't know, in my head it's just an ill fact, And I think it's one that sticks with us, especially as young men growing up, which is why this is such an intriguing topic for me because I know there's so many people that don't necessarily are unwilling perhaps to speak or to approach these sort of topics. Especially at that age. I wouldn't even expect you to want to, at that age. So even if it's just a broad stroke, I just want to just sort of kind of put it on the table and someone just open it up. But going back to the tool now, um, the only tool at my disposal, strings, is this quote. Let me go back to the quote. Second. Gotta minimize the screen for a second. Yes, so there cannot be great difficulty where there is great willingness. And I keep going back to this because, there's two sides, right? There's two choices. There's choose to do or there's choose to not do. You either
Yeah.
choose to complain or to um you choose regret or you choose success or choose to be proud because you did or to be regretful because you didn't. I say these are my choices. And the only catalyst I have, the only thing I have to somewhat drive a driving force or something to kind of, shoot for the stars is this quote. But to put my own spin on it, I think myself, I've always been the person to somewhat make something out of nothing. And I think that's always been at the forefront of who I am and the driving force for me to, just always figure things out, even if it's just out of nothing.
Right.
And that's why this quote resonates with me so well because it brings back the fact that, if you're willing, that's half the battle. So it doesn't matter what your father never taught you, are you willing to go seek the lesson for yourself?
Cold.
Yeah, I mean,
Cold. Yeah. Yeah, no.
close yours.
100%.
I want to hear what
Yeah, I think, yeah, let's explore that. I think what you said prior about having that innate desire, willingness, hunger, craving for putting the pieces together is naturally man's forte. But when it goes beyond, again, the physical aspects of what's in front of you, figuring out who you are is an inside job. And it's always interesting and fascinating how quickly, when a man does, do what he's meant to do physically, it quickly reminds him to figure out, all right, what didn't you? Here's a bunch of other things that you've left unchecked, and that's where the discovery starts to happen. And I always say, and I chat about this with like my brethren, and that is like, men, fortunately and unfortunately, learn life lessons quicker because the repercussions, they weigh a lot differently. So because of that, when one treads carefully, his voice and opinion starts to have a different tone and carries a lot of wisdom depending on how he reflects his actions into his lifestyle. So when you start to come across certain answers that he has been seeking or wasn't even looking for, they do arrive when you are ready. And because of that, it goes back to the last great discussion we had last time about who you let in the car with you, i.e., from the navigating to who even gives you maintenance as well. Like there's so many details that add to how you get support with those answers. And I was having this discussion yesterday that men need community, but I've also said that I'm a big fan of changing the definition of words to suit me and where I'm going. And because I do that, it allows me to change the pressure, so to speak. So then I measure it with myself as opposed to what people would do. And all it takes is a conversation for me to realize that we are not where you think we are. So let's not do that. But community is, until a man has that within himself, it makes it difficult for him to find that with others. And it's not to per se that we need to, sit around in a circle every week and do, yeah, like, nah. It's more like, hey, just checking in, what's going on, where are you at with life, and how are we going to keep pushing. So yeah, and then when you do meet a father figure, whether it's your own or someone who does give you some of that vibe, then it hits you differently because it's like, oh, this was always unavoidable, but we are glad that we made the steps for us to prepare for these answers. Because if it happens too late, then you can go off road real quick. That's my take.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's somewhat of a heavy topic, so we might have to just take time to somewhat explore this over a few weeks, and I would also have to also say, everybody that get the chance to listen to what we're saying. I would love to hear some feedback from people that pay attention to this, because
I'd second that actually. Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to hear what people and their experiences. That's one of the things I really want to bring this up for.
Mm,
I want to hear their experiences on some of the things they were taught, or some of the things they weren't.
yeah.
Meaning they had to
Mm,
find out themselves. Meaning they had to find out themselves. What, this was something that I wasn't taught, but it was pivotal to
yeah.
my growth, to my understanding of the world, and it drove me,
Mm,
to be in that person that I ultimately end up being. Because from what I understand, there's there's two. So let's just speak. Maybe um, go to males, and then we just see if we can go further than that. But it seems to me there's not necessarily just ultimately just these, but um, the two I see, or the two I identify at this moment, is there's one that is a definition of what he wasn't taught as a man. There's the male figure that he's a definition of what he wasn't taught, and then there's a male figure who is somewhat a definition of what he was taught.
yes.
So, but by default, logically, that means there must be a third, right?
Ooh,
Who is somewhat a mixture of the two, but also he leads himself. He has to. Who's going to teach you all this if you never have somebody to teach you? To teach you other than your teachings, if you do have somebody, but you think something else. Do you get what I mean? It's a little bit of
yeah. No,
a spaghetti.
definitely.
I need to simplify it.
Yeah. And I think I touched on that by how your world reflects your lessons to match where you're going in order to help you understand
Hmm.
what it is that you're figuring out for yourself. And I think that's what makes life this massive conundrum because it's like, um, it's literally taking thoughts become things to the highest level possible of you thinking, you think about something long enough, it will simply reflect that to show you, okay, let's work out this puzzle of you trying to understand if that makes sense to you while you move
Yeah,
forward. And the notion of anyone who is a explorer is that you have to be a mathematician. Does this equation make sense? And if it doesn't, how willing are you to adopt new methods, new teachings, understandings to find a new solution to help you move forward? It's the premise of discovery.
yeah, yeah. And if you think about it, like one of the things I would say a defining factor of people or certain individuals that we've seen,
Mm,
or maybe on a larger scale, that not necessarily we're not necessarily trying to tap into, but definitely on a smaller scale, when you're just talking individually, what I've seen, some of the most open or the most growth, um, defining people are the ones that have traveled, have moved away from what they knew, or at least traveled far away from what they knew. Not to say they
Yeah,
stay away, but they
definitely both.
explore.
Yeah.
And somewhat it gives you a different perspective on life, to the point where your perspective can never be what it used to be.
Bingo.
You can't revert. You know, because at this point you're somewhat going backwards. You have to de-evolve, which don't make any sense.
Mm.
Don't make any
Oh
sense, does it?
man,
So it's crazy.
it is.
But I'd say if we had to give one encouragement, I would say is to anybody listening to this is you need to explore, man. You need to go out into the world and leave your comfort zone, leave what you know,
Yeah.
at least sometimes or once in a while, to discover. Um, because what you're looking to discover ultimately is yourself, not necessarily just the world. The
Yeah.
world is going to tell you about yourself. That's what you're looking for.
Mm.
And you can't necessarily do that at home in your comfort zone or unfortunately around what you know more times than not.
Mm.
You know, you have to get away. What are you gonna say?
No, I got something for you.
Well,
I think last week or 2 weeks ago, a news article from a an academic paper went viral on some of
mm,
the pages I follow. That basically indicates that science has now discovered the fact that I'll find the quote and the article is stored somewhere, but it basically supports the um, fact that your gut instincts are um, a strong, heavily quantum linked indication that they support the link to what your gut feeling is telling you. So if you get a strong, clear feeling about whatever it is, a situation, a person, um, something that pertains to, for your greater good, then that isn't just some feeling. It's
yeah,
clinically proved, or it's becoming proving at this point that, again, if you ignore it, then it's going to cost you. So I think
mm,
probably that came to mind because, yeah, I recently had this discussion, and what you said about the world is just going to show you um, how it looks like where you're going, and yeah, heavy on the perspective, like, and I think that's probably why I mentioned community as well, simply because um, we're all standalone beings, and we congregate together to um, discuss, like, and I think that's what makes us healthy. That's what keeps us sharp, and I'd say blessed as well because we all know how quickly your surroundings can diminish your state of mind, your state of being. And
yeah,
in this case, when men are surrounded by those who are unambitious or who are stuck in their ways that aren't beneficial or forward thinking, it reveals it's it's very quickly because then the influence that they have in their inner circles then says, oh, I think like this, so if you don't, then we're gonna have a lot of issues, and it just causes a lot of issues that can like go into a lot of things that we'll probably have to circle back in this discussion.
mm,
And again, if you are too fluid in your way of thinking, with just being, impressed or never challenging what people say to you, even if they come from a credible background, it's still healthy to say, I get what you're saying, but either add context or why can't this is the information that I'm presenting. How can we, figure out how to get to some form of intellectual crossroad? And I think that's what it's all about. Otherwise, what would this place look like if a bunch of men were just like, yeah, no, it's my way or the highway? Yeah, there'd be more like a lot of trouble, a lot of fights, a lot of wars, unfortunately. So yeah, definitely a good middle ground to take on the perspective of exploring physically and mentally as well. So you can arrive at new, again, checkpoints. It's all about going to further checkpoints because them checkpoints are going to test you to be like, oh, remember that thing you discovered? And it gave you this sense of bliss and clarity. Yeah, let's spin the block on that. And it's like, okay, cool. So,
yeah. No, I mean that's an interesting you brought up. But for me personally, I've always sort of followed that along that thought, leading towards, because I already knew that, like 70% of the gut is your nervous system. That's your immune system.
crazy.
Or your nervous system.
Mm.
Yes, that's 70% of your gut is your nervous system. So but by default that means sometimes when you talk about the gut, or like when you think about it, like your food, everything you do goes to the gut.
Yeah.
Your nervous system is everything. So your gut, it goes for a lot, man. Your gut is next to your CNS, your central nervous system. So these things are not by accident.
No, they're not.
And obviously these things are next to intuition. It really is intuition as well, which is next to instinct.
Yeah.
We're not in the wild anymore, so we're not necessarily prone to instinct. Which is more,
we are
more.
just different buildings, my guy.
Well, I think I do think intuition is more of an evolution of instinct, truth be told.
Okay, that's an interesting topic.
Because it's just an evolved version of it. It's kind of like, this is the wild, man. It's just an evolved version of the jungle.
Yeah.
A city is, to me, is just an evolved version of the jungle. Monsters are everywhere, man.
Yeah. I'm learning how to slay them, boy.
Monsters are everywhere, so it's no accident. Some of the things and the similarities that we see come to light in this day and age.
Yeah.
But I also want to ask you this question. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Let's go.
Do you believe there is such as free will in this world we live in?
Yes, but there is a lot to get through in order to access it. For someone recently has mentioned that if more people had free will, they'd be more capable of understanding life better. And when I heard that, I pondered on it because I was like, or people. I think the generic definition is always, you could do anything. because
Yeah.
you know you're governed to. And yes, you can. But cause and effect comes into play because of that. So it doesn't mean that it restricts it. It just does allows you to have a more heightened view of how to use it. So back to what we were saying about, you know, the gut instincts and being around people and, you know, seeking those lessons that your father did or didn't teach you. I think it will quickly, no, I think over time, again, you'll sit with information as a scientist does, analyzes the data carefully, and with more tools you gain over time, the better the analysis that you'll be able to make, all for you to come to better conclusions about where you want to go. So free will put into that equation thus allows you to say, even though data says this, I'm not entirely, how can I say, a prison to it, because it would then put a cap on how to explore yourself and the things that you do find. For one, it's how people are still creating the things that they're creating or breaking boundaries or rediscovering things and re-emerging them as well. So I think it plays a big part in how we evolve as well. So yeah.
Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, so for me, right, I see it like I see free will like I think there is such a thing, but I don't think most of us um I don't think most of us have that luxury. Most of us um embrace because to me free will is somewhat like a programming in itself. But how can you but you can't serve two masters. So if you already have a program installed, there's no space for free will to be
Exactly.
programmed. You
Right. Glad you said that. And I think that's how
get what I
I
mean?
answered. Yeah. And I think I said that in the
So
beginning.
ultimately, if you're looking for free will, then that means you're gonna have to deprogram yourself from whatever program you're on. And that's why we was talking about the matrix. You
Mm,
have to deprogram yourself from whatever matrix programming you have before you can install free will,
yes.
which is a program in itself that you're running. But you can't serve masses. You can't be free will over here on the lawn,
Mm,
and then you have um what do they call it? I'm gonna I'm a Trump supporter or something like that in the house. You get what I mean? Like it just don't make sense. So I also believe, yeah. So sometimes we speak about objectivism, and I think that's an entity in itself, but it's also somewhat, if not um, synonymous to free will. I think they're one and the same. But again, how pure are you with that the ideals of objectivism, objectivist? How pure are your ideals? And I think that would dictate how truly free someone is. I'd say the ultimate is somebody that's willing to die for what they believe in. That is a reflection of free will. not a reflection of somebody else's legacy, somebody else's doctrination. Because if it's not your doctrine, that belongs to somebody else. Because nothing is created by accident. Own yourself, somebody else own you. That's a fact. So the idea of free will, I think for me, is somewhat of a controversial one, because as much as we would like it to be, it's never just black and white. You know, there's a lot of nuances, there's a lot of gray areas when you really take a microscope at it. And but ultimately, I'd say the ultimate indicator of if you're truly if you're truly free, or if you're truly adhere to adhere to ideals of somebody that's free, is what you're willing to die for, or if you're willing to go that far, and what that is, that hill that you're willing to die on. Me, these are some of the check marks, or the indicators to show whether somebody is really they live by their convictions. You know, it's an interesting thing, but this is relevant because I think as a man, and nothing else, I think as a man, you have to decide how you want to live. Going back to the title, what my father never told me. And you know, as a man, you have to decide how to live. And I think I would like to imagine, man, or at least most of us would like to be free. Ergo, free will. But obviously, the world we live in is a reflection of everybody that wants to be free, I would imagine, but nobody wants everybody else to be free, which is a double-headed sword. You got me? It's like a million sharpened
Definitely.
swords, because you have you have everybody wants to be free, but
But not those lot.
but the senses don't want some other people to be free.
Mm.
You know, that's a paradox in itself. So this is the world we live in, and you have to decide, what do you want for yourself? Where are you going to take this? Because it's not a simple road, man. And like I said, you know, the road is at this line, and it basically said, how does it go again? The road is filled with trolls, like a million sharpened swords. And I suppose what I'm saying is just there's a lot of and sometimes those sharpened swords, or the trolls, are inside you, or they're a part of you, and
Definitely.
in you know, in ways of sabotaging you,
Yeah.
destroying your legacy.
Yeah.
And that's why knowledge of self and knowing what's there is actually what you put there. not somebody else's installation, not some software that's running. Next thing you know, you have this order 666, and now we're in a problem. You know, you don't want that. So, what my father never told me, you know, these are some things that I've learned along the way, and it pays. It pays to observe the world around you and how you react to it. If your reaction, or you don't like the way, if you don't like your reaction,
Yeah.
that's good, because you should be reacting, you should be responding. But if you still don't like the way you respond, then you should curtail your instincts, so you respond in kind, in the way you want to respond. So I guess what I'm saying is, choose the animal you want to be, not the animal they want you to be. But you can only do that by creating your own stipulations, going by your own rules, controlling what you can control, which is yourself. These are some of the things I think as a young boy, it would have been of value, you know, it would have been of value. But I think these are irrelevant without free will. Without free will, so that's why for me, I value free thinking over everything. And I value my narrative, my own narrative, over everything, because I'm looking for myself, not for somebody else, because I can't afford to. I only got one.
Yeah.
I only got one life. And you know, when the ferryman comes, as they say, he's only going to take one of me, not two. I only got one chance. So we're in this space, and these are some of the things that I think is so important. But like I said, you know, I also want, I would love to hear feedback from people once they heard, and them as well, Springs, because people have been chiming in. There was somebody that shared a comment on our last live, and it was a serious one, into the discussion that we had, and condolences to them, because you know they shared that they lost a few family members, and still trying to cope with that. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's you know, tragedy, man. Going back to what we were saying, that's something that you have to know before it happens, how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that your father needs to teach you.
Yeah.
You know, so there's so many things that comes to light, and what I'm doing right now is just like I guess they call it like a boiling pot of just things. to just pour into the pot and just share. But there are things that stand out more than any, and for me, that's free will, because without that, you're living for somebody else, or you're living under somebody else's influence, which is that's a sad thing for me personally. So absolutely, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Strings. Any thoughts? Because we ain't got much time left.
Yeah, I think it just, like we said, there's more to go over, because this is a very expansive topic. But yeah, definitely touch on some points about just how to navigate through life at certain checkpoints, whether or not you have the tools, information to figure out how to go about even accessing free will. Because I was thinking earlier, the two things, while you was sharing your point. After a while, you start to question, if something is free, what's the catch? And the other thing you said with when the ferryman comes to collect is pay up to make that voyage. So with that, there's a price to pay with it, and yeah, a large majority of that is standing on your own about what you inherently believe in, about how to govern yourself, how to represent yourself as a person, as a state as well. And yeah, from young, we are given programs that we don't ask for. And that's what makes this journey so interesting. Because until you even realize what the program is and how to delete it, you're just operating on someone else's autopilot. And then when you switch that off, it's like, oh wow, no one taught me how to fly, and I'm like, there we go. So, scary at first, but you spread your wings and you take a couple classes and courses about how to learn the basics, and then yeah, you upgrade your vehicle. Yeah, I keep coming back to this vehicle thing, but it's really true. The body is a car, and it comes with a very difficult set of instructions that are hidden on purpose. And once you start to gravitate how to understand that, it becomes easier to pick up on so many details that you missed in order to use it to its higher capabilities, for you to then say, all right, we are starting to figure out where we're going, and we're just here to make this journey more interesting while figuring out who we are. So yeah, that's my piece.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify. Yeah, so it's the 70 to 8% of your immune cells isolated in the gut.
Crazy.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure we got that fact right.
Thank you.
So yeah, man. That's the other thing as well. I mean, you said it. Sacrifice or pay. There's always a price.
Yeah, man.
Or you have to make a sacrifice.
Knowledge ain't free.
Knowledge ain't free. The only caveat I would say is make sure you know what the sacrifice or the price is,
Yes.
but also make sure you're willing to pay it.
Mm.
Because otherwise, um, you're like a dog without a paddle, man.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to be that.
Yeah. Oh, heavy on that. I'm there right now. Like there's new things I want, and I'm looking at the prices, and I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to pay
Mm.
for sure, for sure.
Real talk, So this life is, it can be everything, and at the same time it can be nothing.
Yeah.
And I suppose you just have to and make the best of it, what you will. Um, but it all starts with choices, man. And
Yeah.
you can make a chess move or you can make a domino play. But at the end of the day,
Ooh. Mm.
you want to respond. You don't want to react, because if you react, that's a domino effect, and you're gonna be at the ugly end of it. Be like Dirty Harry, who always clean the mess.
Yeah.
And life is not something that you're supposed to react to. So I would say, going back to what we said as well, always be ready to respond. Thus, anticipate.
Yeah.
Don't improvise.
Mm.
That's the way to go. You know. Strings. Any last things to say before we go?
Yeah. Nah. Knowledge ain't free, man. It's worth every penny.
It's crazy because, yeah, it's like you said, knowledge is not free. But at the end of the day, you might as well be blind if you're not going to use the knowledge anyway.
Yes.
So
100%.
So I'd say that's the biggest thing. It's not just the knowledge. You have to be willing to apply the knowledge.
Definitely.
You have to be disciplined to apply the knowledge.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might well have not have gained the knowledge in the first place, because it means nothing in your
Mm.
as potential.
Oh.
Potential is not going to save you. Potential is not going to give back.
Yeah.
That's why it's potential. It's unused. So if there's one thing I would say is, yes, I would encourage you to gain the knowledge, but the most important thing is using the knowledge.
Yeah.
Using the knowledge. And another gem before we leave, what my father never told me. Work on being aligned with your beliefs. Don't take things on that you're not aligned with. You've got to be aligned. It's very important.
Yeah.
With what you do.
Mm.
It's so rewarding if you are, but it's a curse if you're not. It's an absolute curse if you're not. And that's something that brings no greater scarcity than not being aligned with your action. That's why certain men can go prison for a lifetime, because they're aligned with their actions.
Yeah.
Nah, I know it's a bit extreme. I would never ask anybody to do that, but that's the power of alignment.
Yeah.
Forgive my analogy, but that's the power of alignment. And at the same time, that's why you can be a president, because you're aligned with your actions so much that you're willing to sacrifice everything to make what you believe in happen for you, to die on this hill. That is, you know, what you want from this world, or what you're willing to give to this world. It's very important to be aligned. What my father never told me. Strings, thanks for coming through, man.
Likewise, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man, this is fun.
Always.
All right, everyone. Take care.
I'm gonna see
we'll
you
be back soon. All right. Take care. Till next time.
See ya.